Welcome back to the Nose Plays XCOM Enemy Within. This is a game I've had for a long time, one that I've enjoyed quite thoroughly, and one that I kind of got in the mood to start playing again. So I know I have a lot of other things in process in the channel right now, and I took some time off this last weekend and haven't recorded very much, but we are going to go ahead and add XCOM to the list of ongoing activities for a while. So we're going to pick up a new single-player campaign. I have a bunch of different campaigns loaded right now, but this is the one that I think we're going to go with. So I'm going with a normal difficulty. I'm going to turn on Iron Man. I always play with Iron Man. We'll reduce the beginner. I'm definitely not a beginner at this game. Don't need any of the tutorial stuff. And then second wave, I like having random stats on my rookies and hidden potential. The damage roulette, there's already enough RNG in this game. Save scum, we're not going to be doing saves because we're playing an Iron Man. I am going to go ahead and do the aiming angles so that you're rewarded for at least attempting to try to flank, even if you don't actually get the flank. I believe that the enemies get this bonus as well, so it's not strictly an advantage. It's an advantage for the enemies as well. So, and we're going to go ahead and start the game. So, if you've never played XCOM before, it's a fantastic turn-based tactical experience, I guess is really the best way to put it. And it's actually a remake of an older game called XCOM. Back from the mid-90s, early 90s. It was a fantastic game back then, a lot of fun. But it's even better the second time around, I think. I also have XCOM 2, and if we do end up getting pretty far in this one or completing it, we may go ahead and pick up with XCOM 2 afterwards. You can see the graphics are still pretty good, even though they're a little bit dated at this point. This game's been out for quite a while. But it still looks really good, and it still plays incredibly well. One of my all-time favorite games. XCOM project has been activated.
Hello, Commander. In light of the recent extraterrestrial incursion, this Council of Nations has convened to approve the activation of the XCOM project. You have been chosen to lead this initiative, to oversee our first and last line of defense. Your efforts will have considerable influence on this planet's future. We urge you to keep that in mind as you proceed.
Yes, sir.
Good luck, Commander.
All right. Game on. So, here we go. First mission is pretty easy. We've got to decide where to set up our base, I guess, is the first step. Each location has potential bonuses. Every continent has a bonus, and if you get all of the territories in a continent grabbed, similar to like Risk, you get an advantage. So North America has a pretty significant reduction to the cost of aircraft weapons, and that can be pretty helpful. Europe gets a decrease in the cost of workshops and laboratories. Cheaper to build, cheaper to maintain. Asia gets decrease to foundry projects and officer training schools. This can be really powerful in the early game if you can grab it, mainly because a lot of the squad advantages are pretty expensive, and if you can rush them, that's pretty helpful. South America is interesting. It only has 2 regions, so it's the easiest one to capture, similar to games like Risk. But the advantage is less impressive, but it can still be pretty cool. Autopsies and interrogations are completed instantly, so you don't have to bog up your research queue with those activities, which sometimes take several days to get finished. So basically you can get a lot of research done very quickly. There are certain items that come through that process that make this a significant advantage if you can rush them, but otherwise it's just a time factor. You get this stuff done more quickly. It's nothing special. And probably the best one, or at least the most versatile one, the all-in bonus. Monthly XCOM funding is increased by 30%. It just gives you more resources to spend however you want. This can allow you to rush things like equipment or more airplanes if you need them, you know, more buildings. So this one's a little bit more versatile than some of the other ones. Which is why I think we're probably going to go with that one. You don't get a big bonus from it right away, but over the course of the game, the advantages really start to stack up, and more importantly, if you do get your satellites up really quickly, this can be really, really powerful. And I'm a big proponent of rushing satellites, as I think most players are in this game, because it's the primary way that you get your resources in the long term. So we're going to go with that one.
We're dropping you just inside the Egyptian border. We've picked up a local broadcast indicating alien activity within a major metropolitan area. We should get down there and eliminate any hostiles.
All right. And I'll try to go over some of the details of the game if you're not familiar with it. I think most people are familiar with it at this point.
Strike one. This is Central. You are free to engage all hostile contacts in the AO. Don't take any chances.
Alright, so this is a true turn-based strategy game. There is so much going on here, but let's just go over some of the basic UI HUD details. So you can see I have 4 squad members. All of my squad members get to use all of their action points before the enemy gets to move or do anything. There are a few actions that can happen on the other player's turn, particularly with Overwatch, which we'll talk about extensively at some point. So this UI HUD has a couple of different factors. This is basically the health of my character. So these pips here represent the hit points that we have. So we're running about 6 hit points with this current level of armor. Status ailments, status effects will affect this. This is kind of like a heartbeat monitor that you see going on there. And then these 2 little arrows represent his action points. Some actions require both points to enable, and some require only one. You can see this little blue outline on the map, and that is the places that I can move with a single action point. And when I move outside of that, you'll see a second yellow line. These are the places that I can move if I run, but running consumes both my action points. Dashing or running does provide you an evasion bonus, I guess you could say. If you have to run through enemy fire, you're harder to hit if you're running as opposed to walking. You could also walk and then walk again, or you could walk and then perform one of these actions down here. Every character has a basic assault rifle and a pistol, and both of these consume ammunition every time you shoot them. You do have to reload periodically in these engagements, which can be very problematic at specific times. If you run out of ammo at the worst possible time, it could cost you a character. Characters aren't persistent throughout the game, but if they die, they're dead for good. It doesn't matter what level they were, how high, how important, how expensive their gear is. If they go down, you cannot get them back. And since we're playing an Iron Man, they're literally gone for good. The game will not let you recover them. You can play without Iron Man enabled, and you can go back and replay a mission if you have just a really bad run, but that's not XCOM, baby. We're playing real XCOM style, so people, we got to be real careful with our guys. They are the most important resource we have is our soldiers, because there is such an investment in time and money to level them up and to gear them out. The gear is also persistent, and if a guy dies in a mission, we do recover his equipment. Typically, we don't lose their gear if they die, so that's good to know. There is no specific order in which we have to do any of these things, so the order in which we do things can be really important, and we're going to talk about that. And then you'll notice there are terrain features that we can move into that will provide us some type of defensive bonus. The little shield determines how much of a cover bonus you get. Most cover is destructible, so if enemies shoot at us too much while we're in cover, they can actually destroy our cover. Some cover can actually explode, which is bad news. Things like cars and barrels full of gasoline and things like that, not good to be standing next to. And then you can see there are certain areas, like this area here, where the shield is completely full. That's full cover. That's a better cover bonus than if we were, say, up against this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my characters in the back. I always like to move from the back to the front.
I'm rolling.
And we're going to move them up and into cover. And then we can go ahead and put this character on Overwatch. So what Overwatch does is, oh, there's a nice little description of it right there on the screen. So it fires at the first enemy that you see that moves into your line of sight with a small aim penalty. This can be really, really powerful. You want to use it as frequently as possible.
Visual on the goods.
So the two keys to this game are, number one, always move into cover, and number two, always put your characters on Overwatch almost whenever possible. There are very few circumstances where you wouldn't want to do that. So one circumstance where we might not want to do that is this one here, because there's no good place for me to move into cover in this blue region that I can move to. I can move over here, but we want to move forward. I'm going to have to dash in order to get anywhere. Now I have two options. I could move here first and then see if I uncover anything out here and then still be able to take an action, or I could just dash here. One thing that I've noticed is if you move and then move again, you actually lose a little bit of distance. So right now I can dash all the way to this spot. If I moved here and then I went to move again, I would actually lose like 1 or 2 tiles of movement. I wouldn't be able to get quite as far as if I were sprinting. So that's important to know. Since we're only planning on moving to this position, because it's a full cover position, I think it's fine to go ahead and walk up here first, see if we see anything in the fog of war, which we did not uncover. And then let's deal with this guy. So we're in a similar position here, where I'm probably going to have to run him. Now I can dash him all the way to there, so maybe that's what we'll do. Try to get up against this wall, and that'll give us full cover.
I'm on it, Commander.
See if we can see anything. Nope, nothing yet. Go ahead.
Target acquired.
Alright, so when you uncover an enemy, the enemies are alerted most of the time. There's a few circumstances that do give you an opportunity to surprise them, but typically if you happen to get sight of an enemy, they get a free move and they'll typically move into cover. If this free move happens to cross one of your Overwatch character's line of sight, you will get a reaction shot against them. So that's one of the reasons why it's always good to put your backline on Overwatch and then move into the fog of war, kind of. Gives you a little bit of defense. So we have a couple options. This guy has some move. I could move to this sign still, and we do want to get over to this, but I think she's probably close enough to make that move if we need to. I can also move him into full cover right here, which is not a bad place to be. So I think I'm going to do that. Alright. And our cover is now destroyed. That's not ideal. Alright, so we've just moved into our Overwatch character's line of sight. She's going to take a free shot at him. She missed. You'll see a lot of missed shots in this game, and it's very frustrating. Alright, so you can see our full cover has been destroyed to partial cover now. Injured characters don't really have any impairment to their ability. However, sometimes characters will get other status ailments. There are other status effects that certain aliens can enact on you that will affect you in different ways. And characters will sometimes break their morale, especially if people start dying. The rest of your squad can get panicked, and you'll kind of lose control of them for a brief period of time, which kind of sucks because they tend to do really stupid things when they're panicked. The good news is neither one of these enemies are currently in Overwatch, so they won't get any reaction shots on us if we do move to good positions to try to shoot at them. I can get to a pretty good position right here and shoot him from a flanked position. The problem with that is I can have this guy kind of walk around the corner and do the same to me. So there's no cover from this direction, but it's pretty easy to kill that guy if we do move, say, to like right here. I don't really like that plan because of the lack of cover and the ease of being flanked. I do have one other option, and that is a frag grenade. Frag grenades are cool. Most weapons roll damage. They do a random amount of damage between two set numbers. But grenades are consistent in their damage. They always deal exactly the amount of damage they say to everything that's caught in them. So if I wanted to throw this grenade, is there any situation where we can hit both of these? Yes, there is. So I can throw this grenade in here, and it would do a couple of things. Number one, anything that's outlined in red is going to take exactly 3 points of damage. And also, any cover that is outlined in red will probably be destroyed. The final thing that it will sometimes do is if there's anything that is explosive, it may light it on fire or cause it to explode, dealing even more damage. So this is actually a pretty good one shot, one kill. I highly recommend that you use your grenades as frequently as possible in the early parts of a fight. You want to basically, especially when you get really good value like this, use those up because they are the most persistent, or not persistent, consistent way to kill enemies. Everything else is a kind of a crapshoot, so go ahead and throw this grenade out. The other thing to keep in mind is that characters level up based on the number of enemies that they've attacked, and so and killed specifically. So we got experience on this character for killing both of these. He'll probably level up, and so we don't probably want him killing any more characters if we have the option to let somebody else try first. I'm going to go ahead and move her here, and then I'm going to move her up against this if she needs the cover.
I'm rolling. Look sharp. Enemies rolling up.
Alright, so we've got more enemies. And now that I know where the enemies are, I can move her to the position that's going to give her the best cover to defend against them. We have line of sight on this guy, and you generally have pretty good information within this game. So every action you do, you're making a tactical decision. You know the chances, and they are random, but you know you have to make the best decisions you can. So we know if we take a shot at this guy, we got a 55% chance to hit him, and we could do up to 4 damage. So somewhere between 1 and 4 damage is how much he'll take. I don't know how that scales. I don't know if it's an equal probability for each point of damage. We also have a 10% chance to crit, which will double our damage roll, if I'm not mistaken. You can also click on the information, and this will give you a breakdown of everything that's going on. So because he has a low cover, our aim, natural aim, is 75%, minus the 20% for low cover gives us the 55%. That's where that comes from. And any other factors are over here. And you'll see these things stack up as there's more and more things interacting with our ability to hit. So this character hasn't moved yet, so we might be able to move into a better position and get an even better shot, but I'm thinking that's going to be difficult, mainly because I can't get good cover. If I could get up against this wall with my blue line, I would be in good cover and I could shoot pretty much no problem. But since I can't do that, I'm not sure what the best scenario is here. We are in pretty decent cover ourselves, so I think it's probably worth just taking a shot and seeing if we hit. Sometimes the line of sight is a little off, but this basically is giving you line of sight based on how your character can kind of lean from one side to the other from their tile. So you actually have slightly better line of sight than it looks like. But we're going to go ahead and take this shot. So cross your fingers. And missed.
That is not good.
Okay. We got another shot. Now he's only got 40%. And if we click on this and then we click on here, we can see that my natural aim for this character is slightly less than the other character, and that's why our chance is lower. So each individual character has their own stats, and they will improve over time. I'm not sure where we want to move. We can move to here, or I could just take this 40% shot. I think we're going to go with the roll of the dice here and see if we can't get a kill.
Kill confirmed.
Alright, so 2 of our characters have got a kill. That's good for us.
Incoming over here.
We do not want him getting the kill if possible. We want one of these other characters to get it. This is a meld canister, and meld is a recoverable resource that you can get throughout your missions. It's very, very important that you try to collect these as much as possible because they allow for some pretty powerful upgrades to your soldiers.
Stock the goods.
So each canister that you collect gives you 10. If you're unable to get to them before the time limit, they will self-destruct, and they also are destructible. So if you're shooting guns around them too frequently, they have the real potential to explode, which is bad news. We might be able to get a shot off on him by moving to this wall or to this wall, but it won't be a very good shot because he is in pretty solid cover. I think it's still worth a try, so we just got to decide. I think this wall's probably going to be the one that gives us the better shot. Only 2 damage that time. Alright, we have a 53% chance to hit this time. We can see that aiming angles is giving us a slight bonus, but he's in high cover, so.
Adjusting sights.
Alright, this character's already got a kill. I would rather not give her 2 kills. So I'm actually going to move her to a different location. Yeah, if we move there, she won't be able to shoot this turn, but we don't want her to shoot anyways.
Double time.
And this guy's already got a kill as well, so we're just going to put him on Overwatch. He might get a free shot and he might get the kill. We'll see what happens here.
That all you got?
Yeah, he's kind of homing in on that character for now. Alright, so she might be able to get a little closer. If we do get closer though, we're going to lose our full cover bonus. So I think maybe we just take a shot. The other option is we could throw our grenade. It's pretty much a guaranteed kill, and she has not scored a kill yet, so I think that's what we're actually going to do. We're going to move in here into this partial cover.
On the move.
And we're going to throw our frag grenade right back in here. And that should take care of him.
Good work out there, Strike
And we blew
One.
up the
If I
cars.
may, Commander,
The labs are on high alert. Teams are standing by for your orders. We can begin researching the newly recovered artifacts immediately.
Okay, so when you complete a mission, a couple cool things happen. Number one, any of the meld that has not self-destructed, you will get free. So we collected the first batch. The second batch we never got to, but because we killed the last enemy, we get both canisters of meld. And then it'll give you a little overview of what happened. So we got 4 kills, we lost 0 operatives, and we collected both canisters of meld. Sometimes there's a few other things in this list that you get to see, but this is mainly what it looks like after the battle. And also, as soon as the last hostile enemy is down, it will immediately take you to this screen. So, a little bit of useful information there. If you were expecting to maybe do something
Commander
else.
to the research labs. Commander to the research labs.
Welcome to XCOM HQ, Commander. I'm Central Officer Bradford. My role in this project is twofold: providing tactical support for our field operations, and keeping you briefed on the current situation. My efforts should allow you to focus on the bigger issues at hand. Speaking of which, we have a soldier waiting for a promotion in the barracks. I'll let you get to it.
Some interesting texturing going on there with his badge. Not sure what that was about. Alright, so basically every character that managed to score a kill leveled up. And as your rookies level up, they get assigned a particular job. And so each one of our rookies is now promoted to Squatty, which is the lowest level with a job. And then as they continue to level up, they'll get
Commander to the
more
research
abilities
labs.
unlocked.
Commander to the research labs.
Melissa Reed is still a rookie. She needs to get a kill before she'll level up. And I'm not certain of this, but I'm pretty sure your first 4 heroes are each a different class. So we have an assault, a heavy, a support, and I'm guessing when Melissa levels up, she will be unlocked as a sniper. All the classes have some unique abilities that are pretty cool and that work really well in a team.
Commander to the research labs. Commander to the research labs.
We'll get there in a moment. Chill out. First things first, let's go ahead and check out what we got. So our first squatty is run and gun. This allows us to take a shot after dashing, which is pretty helpful. It allows you to do some really cool flanking maneuvers. We also have access to the shotgun with this class, but we can continue to use the rifle if we prefer. Shotguns are really, really good at close range. They have high damage, high accuracy, obviously, but at long range, they're pretty terrible.
Commander to the research labs.
The heavy, we got the big heavy machine gun. Pretty cool. It does significant damage. We also have access to a missile launcher, and we get to fire missiles. So this character has a nice little rocket on her back, and there's a lot of cool abilities in here. Things like suppressive fire, extra grenades, all kinds of cool stuff. So we'll get a chance to use this character a little bit. One of my favorites. And then probably my all-time favorite class, the support. The support's kind of like a medic, but they have a lot of cool abilities. The first of which is really helpful.
Commander to the research labs. Commander to the research labs.
I'm coming. That is the smoke grenade, and the smoke grenade is something you can deploy in an area for a few turns, and it will increase the defense of all units in the smoke by 20. This is something you can deploy in a pinch when you don't have cover, or when you need extra cover because you're taking a lot of fire and you don't want anybody to get hit. So, pretty cool ability. And
The recovered artifacts are being unloaded, and the research team is awaiting your orders. We'll get started as soon as you give the order, Commander.
These are all the things we collected from the last mission, and some of these things we use for research, some of them we use to build stuff, so we'll get into all of that. They really want me to come to the research facility, so...
Hello, Commander. My name is Dr. Valen. I oversee the research labs. This is where all of XCOM's research and development takes place. We have already begun analyzing the artifacts recovered from our first encounter with the aliens, Based on our preliminary findings, we believe we can use them to develop some new equipment for our soldiers. With your approval, we will begin research immediately.
Alright, so we have our own dedicated research team of
Commander to
scientists.
engineering. Commander to engineering.
This will get larger, and we'll come back through these. Let's just follow the little cues here. We'll come back through and set all these up afterwards.
Ah, Commander. I was wondering when you'd be stopping by. Welcome to engineering. Anything they can dream up in the research labs, we can build it here. Speaking of which, Dr. Vahlen has just sent us some new schematics. With your approval, we will begin fabrication.
Okay. And I don't think we're going to get another call for a moment here, maybe. Let's go back to research then. So, there's various things that you can research. Your research team is currently set to 5 scientists.
Commander to mission control.
Oh my goodness.
Commander to mission control.
Well, it was too good to be true. We'll come back here in a moment. Yeah, no, we're not. We don't need to go to mission control for now. Alright, so the more scientists you have, the faster you research things, and you'll get scientists through a variety of ways. Once a month, you'll get a reward from the council members, and many times those are scientists and engineers. You'll also get rewards for various missions. Sometimes they can be scientists, sometimes they can be engineers, sometimes they can be credits or other things. Let's go ahead and start a research project. So, we have xenobiology, weapon fragments, alien materials, and meld recombination. As we do more missions, more and more things will be unlocked to research, particularly as we collect artifacts and encounter new alien life forms. The ones in red are red because we need to collect more materials. So we have 5 weapon fragments. We need a total of 8 fragments before we can actually begin this research. And similarly for the alien materials. But we could go ahead and do the meld recombination or the xenobiology. I'm going to go ahead and start with the xenobiology. You can see it's going to take 8 days to complete this research. If we had more scientists, the number of days would be much lower. But that's all we have for now.
That does seem to be the most pressing of our current research options. We'll begin immediately. I will notify you when a complete report is available.
And so a big part of this game is obviously the tactics, the turn-based tactical gameplay. But another big part is base management. And so there's this really neat view where we can actually see all of this area around our base. And we can actually excavate a lot of this and build more stuff, which is pretty cool. And we get to do a little bit of base design. Now it's kind of limited to a degree, but it's still pretty important that you set up your base properly. Let's go ahead and check out the barracks. We can view all of our soldiers here. Any soldiers that are wounded in combat are out inactive for a certain number of days based on how severely they were injured. You never have soldiers die outside of combat, so if a soldier makes it to the end of the combat, he will be back, but it may take substantial amounts of time. This guy was only wounded, so 9 days isn't really that long, and there are ways to shorten the amount of time that your soldiers are out of action. But this can be really important if you have a critical member of your team that goes down. You need to have backups, and so that's what all of these are. So we currently have 12 soldiers in total. Most of them are rookies, so none of them have any real special abilities except for the 3 that we leveled up earlier. And you can see the symboling here. This tells you rookie, this is a squaddie. These symbols will change as they level up and rank up. We'll get to see more of that. You can also hire more soldiers. Soldiers are pretty cheap to get more on. It's only 10 credits. The barracks capacity can hold up to 70 active soldiers at a time, but as you saw, we can only take about 4 soldiers on a mission at a time. You can increase that up to 6, but you can never take more than 6 soldiers on an individual mission, and you can never run more than 1 mission at a time. So having 70 active soldiers is pretty ridiculous. I don't think there's any way you could really do it effectively, or why you would ever need to do it that way, but you can potentially have up to 70 unique individual soldiers. One thing to keep in mind is that the only way to level up soldiers is through active combat, so the more soldiers you have, the less experience everybody's getting, and the lower level they're generally going to be. But having too few is just as equally detrimental, because if somebody dies, if somebody goes down and is wounded, or too many people get wounded at the same time, you're kind of stuck with however many soldiers you have left, and it may not be enough to complete missions effectively. They may not be high enough levels, so you got to be real careful that you keep a balance of about, I would say, 3 to 4 full squads of people. If you have 3 full squads of 6, that puts you at about 18 soldiers that you can rotate in and out, and that's pretty good. Any more than that, and you're starting to deplete the amount of experience that goes around. So keep that in mind. We're not going to hire anybody right now. We actually have 13, I guess. It must not be counting the one that's injured currently on that other tracker. Officer training school is really important. There's a lot of buffs that you can apply to your entire team. The 2 most important ones, or 2 of the most important ones, are the squad size 1 and squad size 2. This allows you to deploy an extra member or 2 on your missions. They do require higher level characters, so you have to level up a couple characters in order to do that. New guy allows rookies to be promoted to squatty rank right away. Rapid recovery reduces the time that characters spend in the infirmary. Lead by example increases the willpower of lower willed squad mates based on their leader's highest value. Wet work is just a flat or a percent bonus to experience for kills. And Iron Will, is a larger will bonus each time they're promoted. Getting this before a soldier gets leveled up is important if you want to get them really tough mentally. Willpower has a number of factors within the game, the biggest one being how likely your units are to break morale when bad things start to happen, but also there are enemies that have psychic attacks, and you can resist psychic attacks if your willpower is high enough once you get to that point in the game. So pretty important. Nobody's died yet, so that's good. Let's take a look at our hangar. We have a number of aircraft, and you can see we start with 2 basic aircraft with avalanche missiles equipped. They're pretty reasonably effective against small UFOs, but these ships you'll have to maintain and repair if they get destroyed or replace. You can outfit them with different weapons. A big part of the game, and particularly the older game, I remember it being a much bigger part than seemingly in this one, is UFO defense. So you actually spend a fair amount of your time shooting down enemy UFOs and then sending in your military team to clean up any survivors and collect artifacts and useful tech. So this is a big part of the game, and we'll get to see it likely here in the very near future. The situation room we can't get to yet, but this is a room where we get a look at the map, the world map, and satellites and that kind of stuff. Engineering, build and buy items. We can build and buy some items, and we're going to go and do that. Medkit is one way to repair a soldier in the field. This does not prevent them from going to the infirmary afterwards, even if you get them back to full health. Any unit that has been injured in the course of a fight will be in the infirmary for some period of time. But we're going to go ahead and manufacture one of these. Many of these items can be manufactured instantly. Some of them can take time, like several days to get built, but most of them you can do pretty quickly. So we're going to just generate 1 med kit for now. Satellites are important, and we'll talk about them much more later in the series, but the main thing that satellites do is they provide you more opportunities to shoot down UFOs, which is good, and also more income from the Council, the World Council that created the XCOM program. Each member that has their own satellite will give you some resources every single month, so figuring out how to get as many of these up as possible is a big part of the game, and we'll learn a lot more stuff as we continue. More things we can build. But that's it for now. Let's look at facilities. So this is actually the layout of our base, which you can kind of see. We have the officer training school. We have satellite uplink. We have a lift, which can go down several stories into the ground. And then we have all this territory over here that needs to be excavated. It's very, very important to keep similar buildings in close proximity to each other, because there are bonuses for building things of the same kind together. So what we want to do is we want to excavate this out as quickly as we can. You'll also notice these steam areas. These are random, and there are some special buildings that if you build them on a steam tile, they can only be built on a steam tile, I guess is what I should say, and they're pretty powerful. But we'll look at that later. Let's go ahead and start excavation. This costs a little bit of our credits and some time. We have a limited amount of power. This number increases through a variety of ways, but once we've built things, each structure takes up a certain amount of power. So the access lift, the satellite uplink, the officer training school, all of those things are consuming a total of 25 power currently. And as we continue to expand, we're going to need more power in order to build further. So it's an important limiting resource that we'll have to consider. Alright, now we can come back to mission control. You can see we're based in Africa. We can turn on the pretty lights. And this is what happens when you are not able to do anything else in the game. So you come here and you start scanning for activity. Time will start ticking by. These upcoming events will start to count down, and every once in a while we'll have some random activity that we'll have to either deal with or ignore. So let's give that a go. Alright. Alien abductions have been reported. We can ignore these anytime we want, but there are consequences to ignoring them. Pretty much the only time you would want to ignore an event like this would be if your team was too battered to engage safely. You just didn't want to risk anybody else dying, or you just don't have anybody else to send out because everybody's in the infirmary.
Commander, we've picked up multiple requests for assistance. Abductions in progress are marked on the hologlobe.
Okay, so when abductions happen, they always happen in 3 locations, and they're always in different areas of the map. So we have one abduction happening in Germany. The difficulty level is directly related to the number and types of enemies that you'll encounter. So the higher the difficulty, the more enemies and the more dangerous the enemies typically are. And then your reward, if you complete the mission, there are 2 major rewards. Whatever is here, and then also if there is any panic, it will actually reduce the panic in that area if you're successful. Chicago, we could get 4 scientists for completing this mission, and we could get 4 engineers for completing the mission in South Africa. This one is an easy difficulty mission, so this might be one that we would take a bunch of rookies on. If we wanted to do one with our higher ranking guys, we might go to one of these other ones where there's more enemies. An important thing to note is if this panic bar ever gets completely full, there's a good chance that that member of the council may drop out of the XCOM program, and that will eliminate your ability to get funding from them. So it's a pretty important thing to not let these bars fill all the way up. It can be very difficult because of the way events just happen to stack up, but that should be your goal, is to try to prevent these from filling up by doing missions in the one that have the highest panic level. I think in the early game, the best reward is probably the credits, because what we really need to do is unlock a bunch of stuff that costs money. Engineers are also really helpful, but I have a different plan for getting engineers this time around. So I think we're going to go ahead and go to Germany first. And we have to decide who we're taking along. We have a number of characters we can take along. So let's see here. We've got our heavy, we've got a support, and we've got 2 rookies currently. You might remember our assault was injured, so let's go ahead and take a guy, just so we can tell them apart a little bit better. Also, our support, we want to change their loadout to the med kit. The support is the medic, and so I'm going to give her the med kit. The other thing that I'm going to do real quick, and we'll do this extensively probably off camera, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time. There's a massive amount of customization, from the language they speak to their voice, all these different things you can do. The one thing that I'm going to do is change our armor color. And go to gets... must have already passed it. Yeah, there it is. This must be it. Okay. We're going to go with red. Red is going to be the color that I use for my medic, just so it's easy to spot her in the middle of a crowd. And then our heavy, let's go ahead and give our heavy a different color as well for now. So one thing I like to do is I color code my soldiers by their job description. And you can further customize that, because there are different job paths that you can build as you're leveling these up. So they don't all, 2 heavies might act completely differently from one another. But just for now, we're going to go ahead and change up her color scheme. And let's see. Let's go with... yeah, let's just go with the green. Go with a different shade of green. That looks kind of cool. Alright, we'll go with that color for our heavy. And that'll make it a little easier to figure out who's who when they're on the battlefield. The other thing you can do is you can make items available. So if your other characters have a weapon or piece of equipment you want to use for this particular mission, but maybe they're in the infirmary, you can strip it off of them and give it to these guys. We don't have that problem right now. We're going to go and launch our mission.
Prepare for deployment, Strike One.
Our target site is near the German border. Alien activity continues to surge within several major cities. Our response is crucial to minimizing the spread of panic.
Another option is to just make every individual character have their own unique color, which is kind of a cool way to do it as well.
Sky. Strike team is touching down now. Standing by for your orders.
Roger, Big Sky. Reading you 5 by 5. Strike One has the green light for deployment.
So maybe that's what we end up doing. I haven't decided yet. I've played it a number of different ways. You could spend a lot of time customizing your soldiers to look really cool, and then be really, really frustrated when they get killed the next mission. So again, I always like to bring the back guys up forward and put them into Overwatch wherever possible. Let's take a look at what we got going on out here. Nothing that I can see. You can kind of make out the details in the fog of war of buildings. There's like a big bridge or something here. I'm gonna go ahead and put her on this side of the car for now.
Headed there now.
And we'll go Overwatch. I had the wrong one selected. That was actually the one I wanted to move up over here. Overwatch this one. And I can move pretty far up here if I wanted to. This might be a good place to move to. That's a lot of space. Let's go ahead and move here first. See if we uncover anything.
That's affirmative.
Nothing uncovered yet. We'll go ahead and move there next. Alright. So far, so good. I don't particularly like being in half cover when I have an option, but it doesn't look like we have a lot of options to be in full cover right now. I do see a meld canister over here, so maybe we do want to run this character this way. Yeah, this is probably a safe enough spot for now.
Time to motor.
This is half cover. I don't have a better sense of cover that I could get into.
That's affirmative. That's what we're looking for.
Let's move over here. We can rotate the camera around 360 degrees, which is nice. So, is there good cover this direction? Not really, but let's just go to this spot and put him into Overwatch.
Look sharp, enemies rolling up.
Okay. Maybe not. Maybe we take a shot. Alright, he has lost sight of the enemy. They've retreated into the fog of war. That typically means if I've lost sight of them, they've lost sight of me. There are very few times where an enemy can shoot at you without you also being able to shoot at them. That being the case, we could get into full cover and they would be unlikely to be able to attack us. However, if we get into full cover, we're not going to be able to Overwatch. So the other option is we could go into Overwatch, and if they move forward to try to shoot at us, we get a free shot at them first. Let's go ahead and do that for now, and then let's try to get these guys into a position to maybe help out. I'm not seeing a great position for this character to be into Overwatch, but maybe right here.
Heading there now.
Alright, this character needs to avoid getting shot at. We're definitely not in good cover for people to come over here, but I could get into that position right there and probably get sight on them again. I don't know that I want to do that though.
Moving
I think
to
I'd rather
position.
just move her into cover there for now.
Aye, aye, Commander.
And let's get our support character over here and into Overwatch. We'll see if we can't bait them into moving forward on us. Alright, so they're moving.
That noise.
Okay. Now we're going to get several shots on this guy.
Target's still up.
So miss. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people who can see it. we do have one that can. Now, we have some options here. This character has not scored a kill yet. Our grenade can't quite make it that far. So I think we're just going to go ahead and take our shot. 75% is a pretty good chance to hit, 60% is a pretty good chance to crit. This is what happens when you're out in the open. This is why being in cover at all times is really important. So let's go ahead and give it a go. Alright, that's kind of unfortunate. But the good news is we have another rookie that really needs to level up, and he might be able to get a good shot off. Now the problem is if I move, if I run at all, this guy's going to get a free shot at me, so I'm kind of pinned down here. We could take a shot with our rifle, which would be good, but it does use up a fair amount of our ammunition. We only get 1, 2, 3, 4 shots with our rifle before we have to reload. Not exactly 4 bullets, but 4 bursts of fire. We could switch to our pistol, however, and the pistol is basically equally accurate as the rifle. It just has a much lower damage range. It does up to 2 damage, so it'll do 1 to 2 damage on any attack. We only need 1 point of damage, and so one thing that I often like to do if I have an enemy that only has 1 hit point left is switch to my pistols to take them out, because the damage is pretty much guaranteed to do at least 1. But it also saves my ammunition so I don't have to reload as frequently, and maybe not in a pinch where it's real important. So let's go.
Damn it!
Alright, so now we have a problem. These guys can't really move without getting shot at. So what do we do here? I'm not sure how far forward we can move before we trigger his Overwatch. I guess the other option is we can throw down our smoke, but unfortunately we can only get one of the 2 characters in it. He shot at this guy last time, so he'll probably shoot at him again. So maybe we throw down the smoke over here. We want to put it in a position where we might move into. As long as they're red, that means they're in the area of smoke. So we're going to go ahead and throw the smoke for now.
Popping smoke.
And this character, I think we're just going to go to Overwatch. The smoke doesn't break line of sight, it just causes the defensive characters in it to be higher. Alright, so he did move up and shoot at a different character. That's mainly because probably the defense of this character got really high. We know that she's a sniper, potentially. Now that we have 2 hit points, I'm not as confident using a pistol. So we're going to go ahead and take a shot with her. The other option is we could throw the grenade and guarantee the kill. We know the grenade can reach now, so let's do that. And that will definitely level her up. And now our characters can move up without fear of being completely destroyed. I'd like to move over into this cloud of fog, but I think what I might do is move up and heal myself since I have the med kit.
Solid copy.
Get into better cover and go ahead and use my med kit on myself. Now, even though it's healed me to full health, this character will still be wounded in the next set of fights. looks like we can get like right here and still be in the smoke.
Heading to that location. Enemies in sight. They're flanking my position.
Okay, that is really bad for me. I definitely can't throw a grenade that far, so we need to get back into heavy cover. Is there anywhere else we could go? I think we're just going to go right here.
I'm all over it.
Figure out exactly where they're at. I can't really get anywhere good.
I'm on the move.
But maybe right here is good enough. She could get up on top of this truck. That puts her way out in the open, but it does allow her to do some pretty cool things with her missile launcher next turn. I don't think we're going to take that risk. I'm just going to go on Overwatch, and if they move forward, we might get a shot.
They're trying to pull back.
I'm under fire.
Alright. Good thing we healed ourselves. This character can shoot. We got a 42% chance of hitting. Probably worthwhile.
Damn it. Enemy is still alive.
We can
Moving to position.
move her up. Take a shot on this one. Lots of missed shots. That's XCOM, baby. We really need to... You can see our smoke is now gone. I'm debating whether to just pull her all the way back. We only have a 24% chance to hit right now. And I really don't want her taking any more shots. Unfortunately, she's out of smoke and she's out of... That's kind of a flanking. If he moves over here, he can flank these guys. Difficult decision here. I think we're gonna have to move to this position.
Okay.
That's gonna give me a better shot on this guy. And still give me decent amounts of defense.
Hostile neutralized.
So we still have a decent amount of cover against the other one. This guy has not made a kill yet, and he still has his frag grenade. Let's switch back to rifle. If we fire the rifle, we don't have a very good chance of hitting at all, just because of the full cover. We can see, yeah, high cover is -40. But there is no cover for a grenade. We want to get this as far back as possible, just in case one of his buddies is over here, maybe. Probably right there is good enough.
Hoorah!
And that will allow him to level up. Alright. So we're in pretty good shape. She should be able to get over here and get this, no problem now. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be a dash, but that's fine.
Affirmative. Moving out.
We'll pick it up next turn right before it expires. This character is injured, so I don't want to move her too far
Aye, aye,
forward.
Commander.
There's one more of them hiding out over in the back of this area we saw. We can just overwatch both these characters for now. And I could move her up on top of this, but I don't think that's wise. I would rather move her... A little confused as to... Okay. It kind of turns yellow here. I'm not sure why. But I think we're just going to move right there. Yeah, that was weird. It really shouldn't have turned yellow like that. I think we're just going to stand here for now and maybe just go watch. Okay.
Shh. You hear that?
Alright, so we'll go ahead and grab this.
Got the goods.
And then we can move up. And then into cover. So
I'm on it, Commander.
cover.
Here they come.
Alright, 2 more. We see the meld upstairs here. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to it in time. She can't make an action right now. Both of my other characters can. Yeah, neither one of my characters can get to a spot where they can actually take a decent action. I don't know what the range on my rifles are, but... Let's see if we move over here if we can see them. Nope. Too far away. Alright, we're going to Overwatch. We're going to send this character around on a flanking maneuver. But let's go ahead and
On the
move here
move.
first.
That's what we're looking for.
Alright. We got 5 turns. This is full cover. So let's move to there. And we already know this character cannot get anywhere useful just yet. But she can get up here. Now if she runs up here, they probably can't shoot her from this position. But if she moved to there, they could. So let's move to there and see if it's kind of risky, but I don't think. Yeah, she doesn't have line of sight. So if she doesn't have line of sight, they should. We'll see what happens here. Who's he gonna shoot at? Oh, he is gonna shoot at her. Ouch. That sucked. Alright, well, I can't really get where I want to go. I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't have line of sight, and they didn't where they were, but when he moved out, he gained line of sight, so... we have a couple of options with her. We can move her into cover over here and shoot at this one down below.
I'm on it, Commander.
There's a nifty little trick. So when one of these units is buffing another unit, if you kill the one that's doing the buffing, usually it's the one that's harder to find because he's somewhere out in the back in the fog of war. But if we're managed to kill this guy, there's a nifty little thing that happens.
No longer a threat.
And you can see the psychic
Mission
feedback
accomplished.
actually kills both of them. So, very good thing that we were able to heal ourselves with our support character. She took a lot of gunfire. She's probably going to be incapacitated for at least 2 weeks, which is unfortunate, but she did survive, so we won't lose her experience, which is good. She will be out of commission for a substantial period of time, I imagine.
Commander to the Situation Room. Commander to the Situation Room.
Alright, so we did get a sniper class character, and our other rookie actually got promoted to a support class, so that's good. Gravely wounded, 16 days in the infirmary. That's going to be a while before we see her again, unfortunately. And sometimes that can be actually not that many missions that they miss out on, and other times it can be a ton of things that's
Commander to the Situation Room.
happening that you really
Commander to the Situation Room.
regret. Snipers get access to the sniper rifle, which is a very powerful long-range weapon, but it has some drawbacks. They also get the headshot ability, which allows them to substantially improve their crit chance. So, pretty cool. And another medic. Urban Combat Badge is pretty cool. And we did get both canisters.
Commander to the Situation Room. Commander to the Situation Room.
We got our 200, but because we didn't go to Africa or North America during those abductions, panic has increased in those two areas, and so if it gets to 5 points of panic, these countries will pull out of the
We will
council.
be in touch, Commander.
Commander, you can now honor our soldiers by awarding them medals for accomplishments you deem appropriate. You can view and award medals in the barracks. Every member of the council is going to want satellite coverage, so we should plan our deployments carefully.
Alright, so each council, each country has the potential for satellite deployment. It also has a level of panic, and as I pointed out, if we get to 5, they will pull out of the XCOM program, and you will no longer get any potential funding from them.
We'll monitor that contact, but I don't think it's related to the UFO activity.
Now, what we really want to do is we are really interested. Yeah, I'm going to skip this. We are really interested in getting these 3 countries satellite coverage, and that is because we get that bonus all-in that we talked about earlier, where we can gain the extra 30% income. However, you can see each country has a certain amount of credits that they give, and every country has a different amount. Canada has 100, the United States has 180. So deploying a satellite in the US is basically almost the equivalent of deploying 2 satellites anywhere else in terms of the funding that you get from that country.
Nothing to
UK,
report at the moment. Boards are clear.
Russia are both pretty good. France, Germany, China, Japan, India, and Australia. So you can see the amount of money is different depending on which one you put it in. So I have a decision to make. We can either try to rush the all-in bonus and get 30% more. We get 80 from South Africa and 70 from Egypt. In order to do this, we definitely would want to put it in South Africa just because...
We've been picking up some odd transmissions lately. Some nut calling himself Commander Straker has been all over the news ranting about shadow operatives.
Yeah. If we put a satellite in this territory, the panic level will go back to 1. So putting satellites in territories is one of the best ways, although a very expensive way, but one of the best ways to get panic levels back down. 180 though. That's a lot. That's more than 30%. I think we're going to go ahead and grab this one. That will drop the panic down to 1 in the United States.
Negative. That equipment should be passed on directly to the research team.
And will keep us in good standing with the United States. This is also the largest amount that you can get from any single territory right now.
Satellite uplink facilities at maximum capacity. Additional uplink required.
Now, one of the downsides to putting a satellite over here is we don't have any fighters currently stationed over there. And if you don't have fighters stationed in a
You tell the
region
men we
with a
can't have
satellite,
them bringing back alien body parts as souvenirs. It's a breach of protocol.
if you don't have fighters to defend your satellites, the UFOs will shoot the satellites down. So that is something we're going to have to deal with. That means North America, we're going to have to order an interceptor. And I'm probably just going to order one for now. But we'll definitely want to order more than one eventually. Gotta have something to defend that new satellite. Officer Training School, we still haven't unlocked anything yet. But engineering, I believe. Nope.
I'm still having a hard time grasping what it is the aliens are hoping to accomplish here.
3 days until
Are they
xenobiology is
studying
completed.
us? Why abduct humans seemingly at random? There must be a pattern that we haven't established yet.
Yeah, there could be, Dr. Valen, there could be. The one thing that we did get unlocked here was the medals. That's what we wanted to look at. So we've got a new medal. You unlock medals throughout the game, and you can award different characters a medal, which gives them a slight buff. Once you assign a medal a particular buff, you can't unassign it. So we have two potential buffs, higher defense when in cover or higher aim against enemies in cover, specifically full cover. I'm going to go with the defense. This is more relevant and more useful. So an extra 5 defense on every character that has this medal all the time when they're in cover, which is basically all the time for me, is a good idea. This one only applies to enemies in full cover, makes them a little easier to hit, but I don't typically like to take shots at enemies in full cover anyways, so this is definitely the right call for me. And we're going to award this to a very special character. Yes. Award medal to Holly Thomas, our support that managed to kill the last enemy but was gravely wounded. Alright, I think this is probably a good enough place to stop for today. We will pick up in Mission Control next time. We have 26 days till the Council's report, so this will be our first month, and that's when we'll get all that juicy income from the United States and all the other territories that we have satellites in. So I think that's where we're going to call it. This has been The Nose Plays. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.